Hey everybody, ChristopherOdd here. Welcome to another Codex episode for Mass Effect 3. We've got technology, Reapers, weapons, armor, and equipment on the primary side, and then technology, Reaper War, Reapers, and weapon, armor, and equipment on the secondary side. So let's go into technology and see what we have.
Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are three branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of in utero exposure to element 0. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system.
A little bit more background on the biotics, a lot of which we've learned from previous entries or stories that we've heard.
When subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed Element 0, or EZO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It is most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. EZO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Humanity discovered refined Element 0 at the Prothean Research Station on Mars, allowing them to create mass effect fields and develop FTL travel.
Thank God, or we would be way behind.
Element 0 can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low-mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High-mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low-mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high-mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with mass effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. Mass effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire. Once believed to be of Prothean origin, mass relays were in fact created by the Reapers, using technology far beyond that of other living species. The enormous structures, scattered throughout the stars, create corridors of virtually mass-free space. This allows instantaneous transit between locations normally separated by years or even centuries, using conventional FTL drives. Primary mass relays can propel ships thousands of light years. The flight path, however, is fixed to a single relay elsewhere in the galaxy. By contrast, secondary relays, while only capable of propelling ships a few hundred light years, can reach any other relay within their limited range. Many primary relays lie dormant, their destinations not yet known. These relays are often left inactive on purpose, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly open a passage that might connect them to a new hostile species. The Reapers do not share the same concern, and freely use the dormant relays.
Yeah, see, that's sketchy, these dormant relays, and then the Reapers are using them, but we don't know what, I don't know, man. It's weird.
Medigel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications: a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It is sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Medigel violates council laws against genetic engineering, but so far it has proved far too useful to ban.
Technically, it violates council laws against genetic engineering. That's crazy. Okay.
Omni-tools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omni-tool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common, reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. Omni-tools are standard issue for soldiers and first-in colonists.
Okay, so a little bit about the technology that we're using. Let's go to secondary technology. Artifacts. The Citadel Council has called for the immediate donation of Prothean artifacts to bolster the war effort, primarily items of Reaper origin and recordings of their attacks. The Exogeny Corporation set an example by donating a store of newly discovered paleo technology and releasing the data archives of deep space research colonies destroyed by the Reapers. Several private collectors have since stepped forward to donate the entirety of their collections. But despite an offer of amnesty for anyone concealing such artifacts, not everyone has responded as the Citadel hoped. Several artifacts have been found in obscure underworld markets on safe haven worlds, presumably sold by newly arrived refugees who needed funds to survive. Reporters say that smugglers continue to sell stolen artifacts, and armed raids on archaeological sites have rendered even legal operations extremely hazardous. After several reports of mercenary groups returning on the archaeologists who hired them, LNS Risk Control Services began to offer security details for archaeological sites at considerably reduced rates. Wonder why they would do that. Then we've got difference between artificial intelligence and virtual intelligence. An artificial intelligence is a self-aware computing system, so like EDI, capable of learning and independent decision-making. Creation of conscious AI requires adaptive code, a slow, expensive education, and a specialized quantum computer called a blue box. An AI cannot be transmitted across a communications channel or computer network. Without its blue box, an AI is no more than data files. Loading these files into a new blue box will create a new personality, as variations in the quantum hardware and runtime results create unpredictable variations. The Geth serve as a cautionary tale against the dangers of rogue AI. In the Citadel space, they are technically illegal. Advocacy groups argue, however, that an AI is a living conscious entity deserving the same rights as organics. They argue that continued use of the term artificial is institutionalized racism on the part of organic life. The term synthetic is considered the politically correct alternative. That is crazy, didn't even think about it. So what's interesting here is that it says in Citadel space they are technically illegal, yet EDI, I guess the technically part is how we get away with that. Virtual intelligence is an advanced form of user interface software, or maybe she passes herself off as a VI, which she does to some people. VIs use a variety of methods to simulate natural conversation, including an audio interface and an avatar personality to interact with. Although a VI can provide a convincing emulation of sentience, they are not self-aware, nor can they learn or take independent action. VIs are used as operating systems on commercial and home computers. Minimal VI agents are also available. Agents are compact and specialized. Some serve as personal secretaries, filtering calls and scheduling meetings based on user-defined priorities. Others are advanced search engines, propagating themselves across the extranet to collate user-requested data. Commercial VIs and a variety of stock personalities are available at any software retailer. Boutique firms and hobbyists also build unique VIs to personal specification. Although software emulation of living personalities is illegal, reconstructions of famous historical figures are common. That would be fun. So Glyph is a VI. So now we have the Reapers, and then we have the Reaper War. So we're going to start with the Reaper War, the fall of Earth. The Reapers took Earth in a matter of hours. The Alliance knew the first wave would arrive from Batarian space, but they were unprepared for the speed and scale of the attack. The Reapers bypassed the 6th and 7th fleets of Terra Nova and Eden Prime, flying straight from relay to relay, where they could neither be tracked nor intercepted. The tactic was unexpected, since the navies of organic species would never risk coming out of FTL within combat range or leaving enemies at their backs to threaten supply lines. At Arcturus Station, more than a dozen Reaper capital ships engaged the Alliance's 2nd, 3rd, and 5th fleets. This was mere screening for the main force. Dozens more capital ships continued through the Charon Relay, where the 1st fleet had been lying in wait but was soon destroyed. The 4th fleet near Earth had a few minutes of advance warning. It stood no better chance. After destroying Earth's comm buoys, smaller Reaper destroyers wiped out all GPS and communication satellites in Earth's orbit and cut the undersea fiber optic cables that link the continents. Earth's resistance now relies on outdated radio towers and a few quantum entanglement communicators whose match pairs happen to be on other continents or outside the Sol system. Communication is so limited that the fate of entire nations remains unknown. The capital ships bombarded defense installations and industrial centers, annihilating entire cities with populations in the low millions, including Adelaide, Hamburg, Al-Jubai, and Fort Worth. Meanwhile, Reaper destroyers descended into the atmosphere to melt roads and capture population centers with minimal loss of life. This is not an example of the Reapers being merciful. More likely, they are hurting their prey to make the coming harvest that much easier. No thank you. The fall of Karshan. For every 1,000 Batarian refugees, there are 1,001 stories about how the Reapers invaded the Batarian systems. A few elements are common to almost every version, however. The Reapers arrived first in the Vular system and immediately destroyed its communications network. The Hegemony's Department of Information Control blamed the loss of signal on space weather, but scrambled ships to the system nonetheless. Within a day, Reaper capital ships appeared in the Harsa system and descended onto the Batarian homeworld Karshan. For all the rhetoric about the Hegemony's military prowess, their response to the Reapers was uncoordinated. Moments after the information minister took to the extranet and announced that unknown ships were destroying all space traffic near Karshan, the defense minister declared that there was no reason to panic. The planet's comm buoys were destroyed next, creating an ominous silence that has persisted ever since. Fearing they were next, Batarian colonies across Hegemony space began evacuations. So many refugees poured into the human-occupied Exodus cluster that Systems Alliance officials at first thought the Batarians were invading. More systems have gone dark as their comm buoys were destroyed, and millions more Batarians trapped on their planet sit waiting for the Reapers. No thank you. Okay. So let's move on to the primary Reapers.
The Reaper called Harbinger is believed to be the oldest and largest in the Reaper Armada. From the reaches of dark space, Harbinger managed to control the Collectors, a race of human-sized insectoid bipeds, as it sent them on a campaign to kill and gather humans from vulnerable colonies. The Collectors became a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Surviving colonists have described the tone of Harbinger's threats heard through the Collectors as they attacked as visceral and terrifying. Alliance intelligence has tentatively identified Harbinger as one of the Reapers leading the attack on Earth.
We've faced Harbinger in the past. They kind of take over some of the husks or the cannibals, any other things that we see, any other like bipedal enemies, and they say like, "I am Harbinger," which is, not cool.
A myth common to several cultures in the galaxy, Reapers were once imagined as space monsters that consumed entire stars. Archaeologists who searched for the sources of such myths found little besides the themes of all-consuming devils that are common to primitive cultures. Although accurate information about the Reapers remains scarce, the galaxy now knows that the Reapers are not a myth. They are a real and devastating threat.
They are certainly real and here.
Sovereign was the first Reaper encountered by the modern Citadel races. Military leaders initially assumed that Sovereign was a Geth or Prothean flagship commanded by Saren Arterius, a rogue specter. The truth was far more alarming. The massive ship was itself intelligent, and Saren proved to be under its control. The attacks by Sovereign against Eden Prime and the Citadel removed any uncertainty about the Reaper's technological superiority. Sovereign's formidable shielding and firepower allowed it to hold off the combined fleets of the Citadel, and its mass effect fields proved powerful enough to let the enormous vessel land on a planet's surface. Sovereign's mission, to open a mass relay that would transport the other Reapers from dark space, proved its undoing. During the Battle of the Citadel, Sovereign linked its consciousness to Saren's. When Saren's death corrupted the signal and shut down Sovereign's shields, Sovereign's destruction soon followed.
Okay, this one will be interesting, all about indoctrination.
Reaper indoctrination is an insidious means of corrupting organic minds, reprogramming the brain through physical and psychological conditioning using electromagnetic fields, infrasonic and ultrasonic noise, and other subliminal methods. The Reaper's resulting control over the limbic system leaves the victim highly susceptible to its suggestions. Organics undergoing indoctrination may complain of headaches and buzzing or ringing in their ears. As time passes, they have feelings of being watched and hallucinations of ghostly presences. Ultimately, the Reaper gains the ability to use the victim's body to amplify its signals, manifesting as alien voices in the mind. Indoctrination can create perfect deep cover agents. A Reaper's suggestions can manipulate victims into betraying friends, trusting enemies, or viewing the Reaper itself with superstitious awe. Should a Reaper subvert a well-placed political or military leader, the resulting chaos can bring down nations.
You think?
Long-term physical effects of the manipulation are unsustainable. Higher mental functioning decays, ultimately leaving the victim a gibbering animal. Rapid indoctrination is possible, but causes this decay in days or weeks. Slow, patient indoctrination allows the thrall to last for months or years.
So, keep our eye out for some of these side effects, but it's a really scary scenario.
The Citadel races have classified the known variants of Reapers into 4 types. Capital ships are Sovereign-class Reapers 2 kilometers in length. They typically target the dreadnoughts, defense installations, and industrial cities of organic civilizations. Experts believe the Reapers harvest a single species of organics during each cycle of extinction to create these massive ships. Some capital ships are capable of launching small drones equivalent to fighters. Destroyers are 160 meters long and, in astounding numbers, make up the bulk of the Reaper fleet. They engage cruisers and other smaller ships, as well as communications posts and enemy command centers. Research suggests destroyers are created from those species that are not harvested to make capital ships. Troop transports carry husks to unconquered planets and bring victims of the harvest to Reaper processing centers. They vary in length from 200 meters to 1 kilometer, but unlike capital ships and destroyers, do not appear to be self-aware. Instead, other Reapers operate troop transports remotely. Processors, also called slaughter ships, are mobile centers for mass DNA harvesting. Like troop transports, processors appear to be remotely operated by sapient Reapers.
It's even hard to wrap my head around the fact that, like, destroyers and capital ships are self-aware, like they're actual Reapers in their ships. Like, it's just weird, which makes them all the more dangerous.
Cannibals are frontline Reaper units created from corrupted Batarians. The nickname refers to their propensity to devour the bodies of fallen comrades. This triggers a biochemical process through which the cannibals spontaneously heal themselves and grow new chitinous armor. The transformation also appears to give cannibals a greater awareness of their surroundings, leading to more strategic behavior and careful use of battlefield cover.
Really crazy. I didn't know that they were only from corrupted Batarians. That, well, makes sense now looking at them.
Husks are the aggressive, mindless foot soldiers of the Reaper armies. They are created by impaling either living or dead humans on mechanical spikes that rapidly extract water and trace minerals and replace them with cybernetics. These cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into horrifying killing machines. The Reapers use large groups of husks to overwhelm the enemy. The husks' inability to feel pain, as well as their tendency to attack in groups, makes them particularly deadly adversaries.
Okay, secondary Reaper info, Reaper capabilities. The Reapers are technologically superior to the organic species of the galaxy, but the degree of the superiority is a matter of debate in the intelligence community. The Reapers' thrusters and FTL drives appear to propel them at more than twice the speed of Citadel ships. Estimates of their location in dark space suggest they can travel nearly 30 light years in a 24-hour period. Reaper power sources seem to violate known physical laws. Reapers usually destroy fuel infrastructure rather than attempting to capture it intact, indicating that Reapers do not require organic species energy supplies. Consequently, the Reapers attack without regard for maintaining supply lines behind them, except to move husks from one planet to another. Unlike Citadel ships, Reapers do not appear to discharge static buildup from their drive cores, although they sometimes appear wreathed in static discharge when they land on planets. The main gun on Reaper capital ships. The main gun on a Reaper capital ship dwarfs that of the Alliance Everest-class dreadnoughts. No dreadnought has yet survived a direct hit from the weapon. Estimates put its destructive power anywhere from 132 to 454 kilotons of TNT. Even if the target is hardened, as is the case of the surface-based missile silo, the gun can instead bury the target beneath molten metal. Precise targeting computers and correctors also give Reaper weapons a longer effective range than organic dreadnoughts or cruisers. The kinetic barriers on a Reaper capital ship can shrug off the firepower of a small fleet. Weapons specifically designed to overcome shields such as the Javelin, Guardian lasers, or the Thanix series can bypass the barriers to some degree. The difficulty is getting close enough to use them. The surface-mounted weaponry on Reaper ships, similar in principle to the Guardian, presents an effective defense against organic species fighters. Okay. And then last, we have weapons, armor, and equipment. Omni-tool
Although
weapons.
melee combat applications for the Omni-tool are almost as old as the device itself, the feature was largely unused prior to the Reaper invasion. The need to take on multiple husks in close quarters forced the Alliance to develop ways to enhance the tool's offensive capability. The most common melee design is the Omni-Blade, a disposable silicon carbide weapon flash-forged by the tool's mini-fabricator. The transparent, nearly diamond-hard blade is created and suspended in a mass effect field safely away from the user's skin. Warning lights illuminate the field so the searing hot blade only burns what it is intended to: the opponent. More technically adept soldiers frequently modify their Omni-tools to maximize stopping power through electrical, kinetic, or thermal energy. Some troops integrate the weapon with their kinetic barriers, transforming the Omni-tool into a wrist-mounted bludgeon. Others fabricate flammable gases, held in place by a mass effect field and ignited upon impact. All prove deadly surprises for opponents who expect a disarmed Alliance warrior.
So lots of different applications. That's actually really cool. And then we've got a few entries here for weapons, body, and equipment, or weapons, armor, and equipment. First is body armor. Modern combat hardsuits have a triple canopy of protection: shields, armor, and self-repair. The outermost layer is created through kinetic barrier emitters, which detect objects incoming at a high rate of speed and generate deflecting shields, provided they have enough energy in their power cells. If a bullet or other incoming object gets past the barrier, it contends with the more traditional body armor. A sealed suit of non-porous ballistic cloth provides kinetic and environmental protection, reinforced by lightweight composite ceramic plates in areas that either don't need to flex or require additional coverage, such as the chest and head. When the armor is hit by directed energy weapons, the plates boil away or ablate rather than burning the wearer. The last level of protection is provided by the suit's microframe computers, whose input detectors are woven throughout the fabric. These manage the self-healing system, which finds rents in the fabric, and assuming any such tear would wound the flesh underneath, seals the area off with sterile, non-conductive medigel. This stanches minor wounds and plugs holes in the suit that would prove fatal in vacuum or toxic environments. Soldiers are not always fond of the squish skin that oozes gel on them at a moment's notice, but fatalities have dropped sharply since the system was implemented. Worth it then. Kinetic barriers, or shields, commonly called shields, provide protection against most mass accelerator weapons. Whether on a starship or a soldier's suit of armor, the basic principle remains the same. Kinetic barriers are repulsive mass energy fields projected from tiny emitters. These shields safely deflect small objects traveling at rapid velocities. This affords protection from bullets and other dangerous projectiles, but still allows the user to sit down without knocking away their chair. The shielding afforded by kinetic barriers does not protect against extremes of temperature, toxins, or radiation. Mass accelerator propels a solid metal slug using precisely controlled electromagnetic attraction and repulsion. The slug is designed to squash or shatter on impact, increasing the energy it transfers to the target. If this were not the case, it would simply punch a hole right through, doing minimal damage. Accelerated design was revolutionized by Element Zero, or EZO. A slug lightened by a mass effect field can be accelerated to greater speeds, permitting projectile velocities that were previously unattainable. If accelerated to a high enough velocity, a simple paint chip can impact with the same destructive force as a nuclear weapon. However, mass accelerators produce recoil equal to their impact energy. This is mitigated somewhat by the mass effect fields that rounds are suspended within, but weapon recoil is still the prime limiting factor on slug velocity. Small arms. Modern infantry weapons are micro-scaled mass accelerators, using mass-reducing fields and magnetic force to propel miniature slugs to lethal speeds. Nearly every gun in the battlefield is laden with features, from targeting auto-assist to projectile shavers that can generate thousands of rounds of ammunition from a small internal block of metal. It was long thought that personal weapons had plateaued in performance, but the Geth proved all theories wrong. Mathematically reviewing their combat logs, the Geth found that in an age of kinetic barriers, most firefights were won by the side who could put the most rounds downrange the fastest. But combatants were forced to deliberately shoot slower to manage waste heat or pause as weapons vented. To eliminate this inefficiency, the Geth adopted detachable heat sinks known as thermal clips. While organic arms manufacturers were initially doubtful this would produce a net gain, a well-trained soldier can eject and swap thermal clips in under a second. Faced with superior enemy firepower, organic armies soon followed the Geth's lead, and today's battlefields are littered with these thermal clips. But it is a much better system. Tech armor and fortification. Although body armor and kinetic barriers provide significant protection for relatively low cost, technically savvy soldiers sometimes go further. Tech armor is a common term for a complex series of field generators that disrupt incoming force using a stationary warp effect. The theory is that bullets that would normally shatter on impact instead break apart when they strike the field. The field then bleeds away the shrapnel's kinetic energy. The standard design for tech armor traps the warp field between two low-yield kinetic barriers to protect the user from the field itself. When the outer barrier fails, the warp effect is discharged, potentially harming anyone nearby. For this reason, many soldiers modify the armor with a haptic-style light effect to warn allies not to get too close. On missions where stealth is paramount, this effect is disabled. Cynical soldiers joke that the design is called tech armor because if it were simply called warp armor, no one would use it. The fortification approach uses high-energy batteries and superconductive devices within the armor to create a Foucault current effect, essentially a magnetic field that can immobilize metals, even non-ferrous ones. The field is triggered by sensors similar to those in a kinetic barrier. It is powerful enough to protect against most modern weapons, but there are drawbacks. The currents cause metallic objects to hold their position relative to one another, and although the field only lasts for a split second, it creates resistance that can slow or fatigue the wearer. Without specialized training, a soldier can quickly become exhausted or stumble at the wrong time. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are all of the Codex entries we have so far. Just to review, because in the next episode you'll see us progress. We're gonna go to Eden Prime, but Shrike Abyssal. So a Volus diplomat needs a Prothean obelisk. We found him in the not waiting area, but it's some large group area on the Citadel. I recover it from the Shrike Abyssal and deliver it to him at the embassy. That's where it is. Palavin, so Primarch Fedorian of the Turian hierarchy, has called a war summit that presents an opportunity for the Alliance to request help building the Crucible. Unfortunately, Fedorian was caught in the Reaper attack on Palavin. Rescue the Turian Primarch from Palavin's moon, and this will get us some buy-in with the Turians. Eden Prime, Cerberus has discovered a Prothean artifact on Eden Prime, land on the planet to recover the artifact, and then N7 Cerberus Lab. The Alliance has discovered a new Cerberus laboratory located on Sanctum, investigate the lab, and deal with any potential threat. So, thank you guys. Those are all of the Codex entries up to this point. And from here, whenever we get a new Codex entry, as long as I'm not, mid-battle, then when we get a minute, we will review them. And that way we keep it manageable, we keep everybody on the same page, and I think it's a good way to go. We'll see you guys next time.